You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Karoline Leavitt's stunning admission on Trump war plans sends shockwaves. Unbelievable. By Alexander Willis. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt sparked a frenzy on Sunday after making a startling admission as to President Donald Trump's plans for the ongoing U.S. Israel military siege on Iran. Mothers out there are worried that we're going to have a draft, that they're going to see their sons and daughters get involved in this, said Fox News' Maria Bartiromo, speaking with Leavitt Sunday. What do you want to say about the president's plans for troops on the ground? As we know, it's been largely an air campaign up until now. In a stunning admission, Leavitt told Bartiromo that mandatory conscription, not seen since the Vietnam War, had not been ruled out by her boss. It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table, Leavitt said. I know a lot of politicians like to do that quickly, but the president, as commander-in-chief, wants to continue to assess the success of this military operation. It's not part of the current plan right now, but the president, again, wisely keeps his options on the table. Leavitt's remarks sent immediate shockwaves among critics, many of whom took her comments as a sign that conscription was imminent. Karoline Leavitt refuses to rule out initiating a draft to send Americans to fight in Iran, wrote the progressive political activism organization Call to Activism Sunday in a social media post on X to their more than 1.2 million followers. Translation: They won't even promise your kids aren't next. Mats Nilsson, a geopolitical commentator and author, suggested that a draft would tank the Republican Party's future political prospects even further, with the GOP already on track for a difficult uphill battle in the upcoming midterm elections. Karoline Leavitt refusing to rule out a draft, Nilsson wrote Sunday in a social media post on X. Once the congressmen's and Ivy League parents' children get drafted, it'll be a whole other ballgame. An ex-user Anatolij Ukraine, a purported Ukrainian-born political commentator, bluntly called Leavitt's admission unbelievable. They may not be saying the word draft out loud, but when they refuse to rule out sending Americans into Iran and keep insisting every option stays on the table, the message is clear enough. Your kids are part of the gamble now, they wrote Sunday in a social media post on X.
Our analysis: drafting desperation, the Trump administration's dangerous gambit. In a move that should shock no one but nonetheless sends chills down the spine, the White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, has laid bare the Trump administration's reckless approach to foreign policy and potential human cost with a startling admission. During a conversation with Fox News' Maria Bartiromo, Leavitt refused to take mandatory conscription off the table in the context of the U.S. Israel military siege on Iran. This revelation is not just a policy position, it's a blaring alarm for every American family. The return of the draft? Let's dissect the gravity of Leavitt's words. It has been, and it will continue to be, and President Trump wisely does not remove options off of the table. The use of the word wisely here is, at best, a grotesque mischaracterization. There is nothing wise about leaving American families in a state of anxiety over the potential drafting of their sons and daughters into a military conflict that has, so far, been pursued with questionable strategic clarity. This isn't a display of strategic patience or a masterstroke of military planning. It's an admission of desperation. The refusal to rule out conscription reflects a dangerous gamble with American lives, one that could have severe repercussions not just on the battlefield but at home, in the very fabric of American society. The shockwaves of Leavitt's admission. The reaction was swift and unforgiving. Progressive political activism organization Call to Activism and geopolitical commentator Mats Nilsson underscore the immediate and palpable fear that such an admission stirs. The message is clear: the Trump administration is willing to risk American lives, potentially in large numbers, without a clear commitment to avoiding the draft. Nilsson's point on the draft tanking the GOP's future political prospects highlights a broader issue: the potential for a seismic shift in political landscapes. The draft, if initiated, would not just be a military action, but a political earthquake, affecting families across the socioeconomic spectrum, including those of congressmen and Ivy League parents. The backlash could reshape American politics for generations. The unbelievable gambit. The comment from Anatolij Ukraine strikes at the heart of the issue. This isn't about the word draft not being spoken aloud. It's about the implicit threat that hangs over every American family. Your loved ones are now pawns in a geopolitical game, expendable in the pursuit of undefined objectives. Conclusion: a reckless roll of the dice. Karoline Leavitt's comments reveal more than just a potential policy direction. They expose a fundamental disregard for the well-being of American citizens and a cavalier attitude towards military engagement. The administration's refusal to rule out the draft is not a display of strength. It's a stark warning of how far they're willing to go, regardless of the cost. This is not just about the military siege on Iran. It's about the value placed on American lives and the lengths to which this administration is willing to gamble with them. The draft, as a concept, should be a relic of the past, not a looming threat in our future. The potential reintroduction of conscription underlines a desperate, dangerous strategy that could have irreparable consequences for American society. In sum, the Trump administration's stance is not just a policy failure, it's a moral one. The American public deserves better than to have their loved ones' lives treated as bargaining chips in the high-stakes game of international politics. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to Raw Story for today's article, with the automated voices of Amy and Ryan. Thanks for listening.